data science is going to combine the fields like mathematics, statistics, programming as well as problem solving. Nowadays, the size of the data is measured in terms of petabyte. That is nothing but 10 to the power 15. If I consider the characteristics of big data, I'm going to come across 3 V's. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on digital fluency, and the topic name here is data science and big data. I'm Revati from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Before going to start my today's session, let's see the topic which I'm going to cover in my today's session. So dear student, at the beginning, I'm going to explain what is data science. Along with that, I'm going to deal with what is big data and the different sources of big data. Along with that, the characteristics of big data. That's nothing but 3 V's. Along with that, I'm going to cover the different big data tools as well as software. Along with that, I'm going to cover big data is used in our life. These are the certain topic I'm going to cover in my today's session. So dear student, before going to start my today's session, let's recall the topic which I have covered in my last session. So dear student, in my last session, I started with what is data. So what is data here? That is nothing but raw fact. Along with that, I have discussed what is database. So what is database? That is nothing but the collection of related data item. Along with that, I have discussed database management system. So what is database management system? That is nothing but it is a software that is mainly used to maintain, manipulate database. Along with that, I have discussed the different types of database. That is nothing but relational database, object-oriented database, hierarchical database, as well as network database. Along with that, we discussed network database, and all these topics are very important from the examination point of view. So dear student, in my today's session, at the beginning, I'm going to deal with data science. Anyway, dear student, we know that what is data. So what is data here? Data is nothing but raw fact or figure or statistics that can be stored or recorded. That is known as data. Now, if I go with data science, here data science is a field that is going to deal with the unstructured, structured and semi-structured data. So what is data science? It is nothing but the field or area that includes once again data. So what kind of data? It's going to focus, that's nothing but structured. That's nothing but structured, unstructured and semi-structured. Semi-structured data. Now tell me, what is structured data? In structured data, the data are organized in the form of tables. When it is in the form of table, then data are stored in the form of rows and columns. So data are stored in the form of rows and columns. That is nothing but the structured data. Now, If I go with unstructured data, here data are not organized. So data are not organized in some manner. Example, I can able to consider audio file, video file, image, etc. Then what about semi-structured data? Semi means what? It's going to include half structured data and half unstructured data. That means some data are arranged and some data are not arranged. And those kind of data are known as semi-structured data. So here data science is nothing but the field that deals with structured, unstructured as well as semi-structured data. So it involves practice like data cleansing. That means data cleaning, data preparation. That means how to prepare the data, how to analyze the data. So here data science is nothing but the field that's going to deal with unstructured data, structured data as well as semi-structured data. Along with that, it's going to deal with how to clean the data, how to organize the data, how to prepare the data as well as how to analyze the data. So here data science is the combination of, so data science is what? It's a combination of statistics, mathematics, programming and problem solving. So here data science is going to combine the fields like mathematics, statistics, programming as well as problem solving. So it includes capturing data in ingenious ways. So it's going to include capturing means what? Collecting data and ability to look at the things differently. That means data science must have the ability to look the data in different perspectives. And the activity of cleaning, that means data science includes cleaning data as well as preparing data as well as aligning the data in some manner. So this umbrella term includes, that means the data science includes various technology or techniques that are used to extracting insights and information from data. So here data science is nothing but the field or technique that is mainly used to extract some meaningful information from the data. So in general, what is data science? Here data science is nothing but the technology that is mainly used to extract some meaningful information from the data by using different methods. That is nothing but cleaning the data or preparing the data or organizing the data or aligning the data by using statistical or mathematical or programming or problem solving methodology. Now, dear student, data is nothing but the, that is data science is nothing but the study about data. The one mark question here you can able to expect is what is data science? So what is data science? It is nothing but the study of data. That means I'm going to study the data. That means how to clean the data, how to collect the data, how to organize the data, how to prepare the data. So it involves developing method of recording. So here data science involves the method of developing data or recording data, storing the data and analyzing the data to effectively extract useful information. For example, think that I have bundle of data and all the data are not organized in some manner. So all the data are not organized or not arranged. Now what I want to do, from this raw material or raw data, I want to extract the meaningful information, and this is the job of the data science. For that reason, it is called study of data. So the goal of data science is to gain insights and knowledge from any kind of data, that may be structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. So here data science is related to computer science. So dear student, please remember here that the data science is directly related to computer science. Now, what is computer science? Here, computer science involves creating programs. That means under computer science, we can able to create a program as well as algorithms to record and process the data. That means if I go with computer science, I'm going to have the step to create a program by using algorithm. So here, while data science covers any type of data, so here data science covers any type of data analysis which may or may not use computers. So here data science is nothing but it is capable to cover any type of data which may be used by the computer or may not be. And if I consider computer science, it is nothing but the study about computer as well as computing device. So here computer science involves creating programs as well as algorithms. So dear student, here data science is closely related to mathematics. That means it is closely related to the field mathematics as well as statistics, and which include the collection, organization, analysis as well as presentation of data. That means here data science is nothing but the field that is concerned with mathematics as well as statistics, and it involves collection of data, organization of data, analysis of data as well as presentation of data. Now, dear student, I know what is data and I came to know what is data science. From data science, I'm going to have big data. So what is this big data? The name itself indicates that the size of the data is huge or big. So data which are very large in size. So very large in size means what? Is it gigabyte of data, or is it megabyte of data, or terabyte of data? So here the size of data is measured in terms of yottabyte, zottabyte or petabyte. So see the difference here, student. The size of the data is measured in terms of yottabyte, zottabyte or petabyte. So normally when we consider any data, the size of the data in the form of MB, that is nothing but megabyte. For example, think that I have some Word document or some Excel document, and what is the size of the document? That is in terms of MB, and maximum GB, that is nothing but gigabyte. Minimum it is megabyte, and what about maximum size? It is gigabyte. Even I can able to consider movie or any programming codes. But nowadays, the size of the data is measured in terms of petabyte. That is nothing but 10 to the power 15. So the size of the data which is in the form of petabytes are known as big data, or the size of the data, which is in the form of yottabyte or zettabyte, is known as big data. And the question arises, from where we are going to get massive amount of data? From the social media, or if I consider communication, once again I'm going to get massive amount of data. So here big data is a term that describes large. So it is mainly used to describe massive amount of data hard to manage. So by using massive amount of data, it's very difficult to manage massive amount of data. So that is measured in terms of volumes. So the size of the data is measured in terms of volumes. And the data may be either in the form of structured or semi-structured or unstructured. So data may be in the form of structured, semi-structured or unstructured. Now, if I consider the different sources of big data, at the beginning, I'm going to have social networking site. So dear student, if I consider Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, all these sites are going to generate huge volume of data or bundles of data on day-to-day basis, and they have billions of users. If I consider social networking site, this site is responsible for generating bundles of data, and its site is going to have billions of users all around the world, and each users are going to chat or they're going to post the image, video, audio, all those things. So all those things are treated as data. Now, if I consider e-commerce website, for example, Amazon, Flipkart, MYSURU, all these sites are going to generate huge volume of data of logs from which user buy trends can be traced. If I go with e-commerce website, this website is also going to generate massive amount of data. Now, if I consider weather station, anyway, dear student, we are familiar with the word satellite. So what is the job of the satellite? Is to capture geographical information. There's nothing but weather information, etc. So if I consider weather station, all the weather information station and satellite gives a massive amount of data. Here, data are stored and manipulated to weather forecasting. Now, dear student, what kind of data? It may be structured, unstructured or semi-structured data. And the another source of big data here is telecom company. So, telecom companies like Airtel, Vodafone or Jio study the user trends and accordingly publish their plans. For this, they store the data of its million users. That means most of the telecom companies are responsible for storing user data. And imagine there are millions of users. Then imagine the capacity of the data. That is very huge. Next, share market. If I consider stock exchange across the world generates huge amount of data through its daily transaction. Once again, dear student, in share market, we are going to get massive amount of data. That's in terms of daily transaction. Now, let's consider the characteristics of big data. So, dear student, if I consider the characteristics of big data, I'm going to come across 3V. So, how many V? It is 3V. So, 1V is for velocity, volume and variety. So, these 3Vs are the characteristics of big data. So, first I'm going to have velocity. So velocity means what? How the data are going to generate and at what speed. So dear student, the data is increasing at a large and very fast rate. So the data are generated at very fast rate from what are the media? Social media, telecom, stock market, weather forecasting, e-commerce website. Okay, from all those things, we are going to get the data, and the velocity of the data is very fast. It is estimated that the volume of the data will be double in every 2 years. So, the volume or the size of the data is going to increase in terms of double. Next, volume. So, what is this volume? The amount of data. So, the size of data which we deal. So, the size of the data. So, what size of data we can able to have here? That is petabyte, zotabyte or yottabyte. Just imagine the size of the data. Is it possible to manage? No. So, dear student, to manage large size of data, we are going to use big data. Now, I'm going to have my another V, that is variety. So, what is variety? Different kinds of data. So, it is different kinds of data. Nowadays, data are not stored in the row and column. That means, if I consider olden days, the data are stored in the form of tables. But nowadays, we are going to have different varieties of data. Okay, now to store that data, we required some platform. So nowadays, whatever the data we are going to get, that is in the form of structured, unstructured and semi-structured. So here data is structured as well as semi-structured. That means data are organized or arranged in the form of tables. That means rows and columns, whereas unstructured means data are not arranged in some format. Example, if I consider log file, CCTV footage, these are the example for unstructured data. That means if I consider log file information, the log file informations are not arranged. Even if I consider the CCTV footages are not organized. So these are the two best example for unstructured data. So here data which can be saved in table, that means the data which is stored in the form of table, there is nothing but rows and columns, are known as structured data. And the best example for structured data is all the bank transaction detail. So all the bank transaction details are stored in the form of table, and this is the best example for structured data. So dear student, when I talk about the characteristics of a big data, I have 3 V's. one is velocity. So what is this velocity? That is nothing but the rate. That means how fast the data are going to generate. So speed of the data. So data is increasing at a very fast rate. So at a very fast rate, that is known as velocity volume. So here volume is nothing but the size of the data. Velocity, speed, data generation speed, whereas volume, it is nothing but the size of the data and variety. So what is variety here? That is nothing but the different kinds of data. So dear student, from the examination point of view, this is also very important topic. There is nothing but the characteristics of big data. Now let's see which are the tools we are going to have to manage big data. So here we are going to have Hadoop. So this is the tool used to manage big data. Quable is also used to manage big data. This Cassandra is also big data tool. And if I consider MongoDB, once again, this is the software tool used to manage big data. Apache Storm is also one of the big data tool, as well as CouchDB is also the big data tool. So these are the big data tools as well as software to manage massive amount of data. Now, how we are going to generate big data? That means area we can able to use big data, that is music. When I consider music, shows and movies, so these are the primary areas responsible for generate. If I consider healthcare as well as medical service, these are the area or field for generating massive amount of. If I consider online shopping as well as marketing, these two are responsible for generating large volume of data. Even if I go with travel and transportation, it's also responsible for generating massive amount of data, as well as education and employment. These are the sectors are responsible for generating massive amount of data. So these are the area are responsible for generating large volume of data. So dear student, in my today's session, I started with what is data science. Along with that, I have discussed what is big data. Along with that, I have discussed the three characteristics of big data. So dear student, in my next session, I'm going to deal with Internet of Things. Anyway, let's meet in the next session with the new topic, that is Internet of Things. Until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.